Hi and welcome back to David Tom Creations channel. That was a little intro to the Symphony string ensemble. I have done a video going over the difference between this ensemble and the main Symphony series, and in that video I said I was going to do 4 separate videos, so strings, brass, woodwind and percussion. So I'm starting off with strings because it's the easiest one, because it doesn't have a solo. It is purely just the ensemble, unlike the brass and the woodwind, which have solos as well. So that gave you a good idea. I was in the string ensemble essential part. You've got your basses, your cellos, your violas and your violins split up on the keyboard, and I'm using my S49 Mark II, which has the whole light guide on the keyboard. I had it on Sordano sustained vibrato for most of it, and then I had a bit of tremolo and a bit of sustain. It is a lot easier when you're playing to have the so if I show you, we go to basses ensemble, you can see that is the articulations, and I can play that on my keyboard, or you can either click these or the menu is there as well. So they always starts off with sustain, sardino and tremolo, and then harmonics, and then so those are the red ones, and the green ones are the staccato, spiccato and pizzicato. So like I said, it's a lot easier if you have an S49 Mark II with the light guide, because if you have a normal keyboard it's not very obvious where those are. We're in the basses, so we're at the top of the basses, so we really want to be kind of down here. So that's sustain. This is sordino, which I prefer. It's not as harsh as sustain, and it has a bit of vibrato. And the dynamics is the mod wheel. So I can bring that in and out, which I did on the intro. So it gives you that kind of expression. And as you can see, you have these 4 settings. So expression is full up, attack is about 60%, release is full up, and brightness is 50%. So on the brass and the woodwind, there's a lot more other things you can play around with. So you've basically got those 4 controls, the mod wheel that does the dynamics, and basically the articulation and some effects. So the reverb kind of defaults to cinematic. You've got an EQ and a compressor, but to be honest, I just don't really bother with the effects. So in staccato, you also have these other controls where you can put the repetition on. So I'll try that on. I'll show you that on another one that sounds better. So this is the cellos. So that was the double bass. This is the cellos, which is and normally the articulations are at the bottom end. So this is designed for an 88 key version of this keyboard. So I've got to go up and down the octaves to get to these articulations. So that's a wee bit of a pain, but it's not major. So these are your cellos, which are, I think, very nice cellos. I do like it. I do like a cello. So that's sustain. This is this sustain vibrato, which I think is the nicest one to use. It's just got a nicer, it's not as harsh. So like I said, the expression and the release are full up, and we could add some more brightness in. And then we've got tremolo. And then the harmonics, which is a weird. Yeah. I don't really like the harmonics, it doesn't really sound quite right. And then we've got the staccato. So if I use the repetition on this one, it'll sound better than the basses. So you've got different times. So you've got eighth, bit as well. So you've got eighths, you've got 8 triplets, and then you've got 16th, and that's the same for, I think, all of them. And then you can have it continuous or random. Put it back onto eighths. And then there's the accents, so you can have it on no accent, so it's just playing, or I normally have it on 1 and 3, so it accents the first and the third note, so you get much more movement in it. Or you can strong accent, or you can accent just 1, which is quite nice as well. But I think 1 and 3 is my favourite one that I normally use. So you kind of get a kind of nice kind of rhythm. And then you can do the same with spiccato. We put this on. And pizzicato. Or let's try it with no accent. And obviously you can use the expression with those as well. The string ensemble, heard all that at the beginning, and what you can do with, so let's say you've got your basses, your cellos, your violas and the violins. So the difference between violas and violins is that a viola is larger and it is strung, it's tuned deeper, so it starts on a deeper note and it has a slightly different bow. I prefer a kind of viola to a violin, to be honest. Although it depends what you use. If you want really nice high notes, then the violin is obviously the best. So the other thing that you can do if you've got a keyboard is to actually switch the articulation whilst you're playing. So if I, let's see, if I do this, so I'm on sustained vibrato, so if I change to tremolo and I play another note, it's sustaining the sustain and adding the tremolo until I go back and it'll play the tremolo. So that's quite cool, and you can I mean, obviously you can do that with the mouse as well, but it's a lot easier to do it with when you've actually got the lighted keyboard. And like I said, you could switch between sustain and trills. So yeah, so the violas have trills as well as tremolo. So I'll go up. So that's the whole range of the viola. And I'll go back down. So like I said, I've got if you had an 88 keyboard, this is a lot easier. You don't have to keep switching back up and down. But I haven't got room for an 88 keyboard. I've only got room for a 49 keyboard. And then so you got your tremolo, and then we could change it to trill and add that. as well. So it's a pretty cool being able to do that. There's violins 1 and 2, and to be honest, I cannot tell the difference. I mean, they've both got express, attack, release, brightness. So I really don't know, and I've played about with it for a wee while. So if anybody does know what the difference is, you can let me know, and I'll add it in. But for all intents and purposes, you can use either. So that should travel. So I don't really on the keyboard. I don't really get. I only get that to that on the keyboard if I want to have the coloured. If I want to have these in, so I've got to go up an octave. Well, I've got to go down an octave to get the coloured keys in, the articulations in, and then go back up an octave to get. So that's the full range for the violins. So right, so we'll switch to 2 and see if we notice any difference. Sounds exactly the freaking same. But the expression mod wheel is pretty cool because you can get lots of subtle effects. Especially with the sustained vibrato. And again, we could go on and do some accents with the see what that sounds like. Ramp it up a bit. We'll do it on 1, 3. We'll do it on the triplets just. Or accent 1. God, it's quiet. As I said, this is probably the simplest one of the 4, so I thought I'd start with this, and then because the other ones will go on a bit longer. You get the whole Symphony Essential series with Complete 13 Ultimate or Complete 14 Ultimate, and then if you want the full series, you have to go up to the Collector's Edition. Basically, the difference is, as I mentioned in the first video, is that you get a huge amount more of articulations with the Symphony series. Anyway, so I will just play out with a little bit more of the whole ensemble. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.